This presentation talks about requests for proposals and requests for quotations. We'll also cover a bit about the strategies for crafting a good proposal, what information you need to include, and give some general ideas on pricing strategy. A request for a quotation, or an RFQ, is where the client has defined the project, usually in terms of a fairly complete specification. Your job here is to quote a price for what the client has requested. These are sometimes known as calls for bids. The focus here is on the price rather than on the services to be provided or the product to be developed. In contrast, the request for proposal requires a bit more detail. Here, the client has defined the problem. Your job is to propose both the solution and to provide a price. RFPs vary enormously in the amount of information they can provide. Some, such as those provided by the state of Hawaii, are highly specific, while others can be quite vague. There are several questions to ponder when you're looking at a new RFP. The first question is, what do you know about the RFP? Is this a solicited or unsolicited RFP? Who is the competition and who wrote this proposal? Sometimes the competitor writes the RFP and you're just there to provide a competitive bid. The second question is, what do you know about the client? Do you have a history with them? What do their financials look like? Are they able to pay? Third, what does the RFP tell you about the client? The RFP may tell you about their style and their values based on the writing. It can also let you know what type of working relationship to expect with them. What does the RFP tell you about the project? It should definitely tell you the problem and should point to different types of solution components. A well-written RFP should have selection criteria, proposal requirements, and a timeline. Finally, does the RFP match what your organization is actually good at? In regard to the last question from the previous slide, is there a good match between what the requesting organization needs and what your organization can offer? Life is short, and you want to focus your energies on efforts that have a good chance at succeeding. Two other types of RFs are requests for information, which is where the requester is looking for potential suppliers or information about the marketplace. These can lead to RFPs and RFQs later. An RFT is a request for tender. These are often used in Europe and are similar to an RFQ in that there is a solution or a set of services requested. There are also usually qualifications required. At Hilo, this would be similar to applying to provide food services on campus. For proposal strategy, it's important to understand the proposer's business need before responding. Describe your solution and show the match between your solution and their need. You can list alternative solutions if you would like to do so. It's also important that your proposal demonstrates your capability to deliver. Describe your process may assist with this. Don't forget to carefully consider your budget and schedule. When writing the proposal, you want to make sure that your spelling and grammar are correct. It's also important to use active voice and strong verbs. This writing style will help the client to visualize your solution. You also want to make it consistent with the RFP and to use any templates supplied by the requester. Under the Resources section of the website, you'll find a list of 23 questions to answer for constructing a proposal. I won't go through them in the interest of time, but you should read through them. These are good questions to consider when putting together your proposal. Winning a request for a proposal can sometimes involve a bit of sales strategy. It's important to get to know the real customer if possible. Try to do things like go to vendor meetings and ask questions, and even see if you can present your proposal to the group. It's always worth a shot. You may also have the opportunity to negotiate as part of making the sale. I had a boss named Tim Spanis at the first company where I worked. He had several laws for negotiation, so let's take a look at some of them. Number 1, it's always about price. Some people may tell you that price doesn't matter, but it's always about price. This leads into law number 2, which is never cut price without cutting content. Law number 3 is know what's important to the client. Law number 4 is know what's important to you. Both of these combine to form law number 5, which is look for win-win. So what if you do win? Well, be prepared to deliver. It's also important to find out why you won, so that you can use this knowledge for future proposals. You should also prepare for unrealistic client expectations and move from sales to project management. It's also worth looking for additional business with the client. What if you lose? Well, if possible, find out why you lost. This will help you with crafting future proposals. Follow up with the client, especially if the winning proposal seems unrealistic. If you feel that you were treated unfairly, it's also worth considering whether you want to do business with this client again. And for government projects, you can request all the competitive proposals. How to get to pricing? Well, Here, the primary consideration is the cost of programmers. This has been a major change since the early days of computing when hardware was the primary driver. You'll need to get a cost estimate for your proposal. I've used Salary.com as a baseline in past years to get programmer salaries, but other tools are available. You can see here that they estimate the salary of an entry-level application programmer at $66,825 per year. However, in writing the proposal, you'll need to double it. Employees cost more money than their salaries. There's office space, equipment, software, medical and dental, support staff, family leave, sick time, vacation pay, and disability. Unless you live in Dickens, London, figure that the employee will cost twice as much as the salary listed. You can approximate the hourly rate by dividing the salary by 2,000 based on 40 hours per week and 50 weeks in a year. Fixed bid implies that you're charging a single amount for the project. This is great for routine projects that you know how to accomplish, and it has the potential for excellent profit. You do need to watch out for scope creep. For time and materials, you bill by the hour and charge for any materials you need to complete the project. This is great for non-standard projects with changing requirements. You can also get scope creep, but this builds that in, and the client pays for it. And it's usually pretty great if you can get away with it. What if there is no RFP or RFQ for the type of work that you want to do? Well, are you an entrepreneur? If so, then you can make a pitch to bring your own vision to reality. In order to do this, you generally need a detailed business plan. This should include the product you'll create, timing, cost estimate, market analysis, management plan, and you'll need an exit strategy. The previous slide had a lot of information you need to put together. Executives and investors are very busy, so you don't have a lot of time with them. So most importantly, you need the following pieces: a one-page executive summary, a PowerPoint presentation and a pitch speech, and you need an elevator speech. It's good to work with mentors and to attend a lot of events such as hackathon and prize events. Be prepared to hear no a lot, and you also need to be prepared to pivot. Thanks for listening. I have my full slides from last year and some resource materials under the resources folder for the class.